It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and today we're going to break down and preview the Denver Broncos. And before we get started, let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the Broncos season as we go into our 4-minute offense. Last year, we saw the rookie quarterback Drew Lock earn 5 starts to close out the season and went 4-1 in those opportunities. Now, while the win-loss record can't solely be tied to one player, it is telling that the one game in which the Broncos lost, which was against Kansas City, a 23-3 loss, was Lock's worst game of the 5 he started. So, needless to say, he put together some impressive tape out there in a small sample, and that is why the Broncos are excited about the potential he brings into 2020. Lock was taken in the 2nd round of last year's draft and brings a live arm and good moxie to the table. The hope is that the seasoning he got last year, along with the abundance of explosive weapons around him, will yield a much better start and finish for Denver. Rolling right into the second topic, which ties directly into the first, is the arrival of new offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur, who was recently the head coach of the New York Giants for the last 2 seasons. I always thought Shurmur designed and called a really good game offensively, both in Philly and in Minnesota, and subsequently with the Giants. And as far as the passing game is concerned, it'll be a lot of high-low concepts with the occasional shots deep down the field, but with Lock in the fold, he may even dial up more deep shots than usual, which speaks to one of the things Shurmur does really well as a coach, in my opinion, and that's building around a player's skill set. I think pairing him up with Lock, who he really liked as a prospect coming out of Missouri, is going to be a very good fit. Another way of ensuring the success of a young quarterback is to make sure the offensive line in front of him is strong. Denver went through a bit of retooling to that unit in an attempt to be much better in 2020. Now, they were dealt a huge blow with starting right tackle Jawan James opting out due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He was an integral part to their plans this season as they were looking for he, as well as tackle Garrett Bowles and guard Dalton Reisner, teaming up with free agent signing Graham Glasgow and rookie 3rd-round pick Lloyd Cushenberry to give Denver a much improved group up front this year. Now with James out of the picture, it'll be interesting to see how they are able to overcome and compensate for that loss. A longtime nemesis of the Broncos now joins the mix as former Charger Melvin Gordon signed with Denver this offseason. The former starting tailback ran for over 4,200 yards in his NFL career and is looking to get back to the back we saw from him in 2016 as well as 2018, where he made the Pro Bowl. Where Gordon immediately helps Denver is in the short yardage and goal line situations where he thrived as a Charger. Also, he potentially adds the perfect running mate with Phillip Lindsay, who's coming off of back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and having both guys in the backfield along with the other additions they made to the offense will make a second-year quarterback's job a hell of a lot easier this upcoming season. We spoke earlier about Drew Lock and the year he's coming off of as a rookie, and what was most impressive to me was how he was able to completely bounce back from mistakes and keep on trucking. Where he has to grow is starting to push the ball a little bit more vertically downfield. Yeah, he completed 64% of his passes, but it was at a very average 6.5 yards an attempt, and if he's able to get that up to about 7.5 or 8 yards an attempt, then the Broncos offense will be just fine. He showed last season that he can put the team in position to win with 2 game-winning drives and 1 fourth-quarter comeback. The question will then become, what can he do with an extended look and a larger sample size this season? With QB1 etched in stone, the battle for QB2 between free agent signee Jeff Driscoll and second-year player Brett Rypien will be what to watch for in training camp. I thought Driscoll played well in both Cincinnati and Detroit last season when he got his opportunity, and Rypien has good familiarity with some of the passing options on the roster and will make things very interesting this summer. With the addition of Melvin Gordon, the Broncos have one of the best 1-2 punches in the AFC. Again, Gordon has been one of the better backs in the league, but third-year player Phillip Lindsay has also been that as well. Over his first 2 years in Denver, Lindsay has gone over 1,000 yards each season, scoring 16 rushing touchdowns. He's the first Broncos back to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons since Clinton Portis, and mixing in he and Gordon should work well behind a revamped offensive line. Also, it could help maximize both guys for the long haul and what Denver hopes to be a season that'll extend deep into January, and Royce Freeman would be next off the side, coming in for both Gordon and Lindsey. He's proven to be a solid enough receiver in the passing game and a very capable runner. Denver looks impressive and stacked on the perimeter. There is no shortage of talented options for Drew Lock to throw the football to this year. We saw Courtland Sutton break out in his second season, leading the team in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. He became a game breaker of sorts for Denver, making numerous wow plays out there this last season and positioning himself as a bona fide number one wideout. Now, Denver really infused some talent into this position group in the NFL draft, adding two legit game breakers in Alabama's Jerry Jeudy and Penn State's KJ Hamler. Jeudy graded out as our number one slot receiver in the draft class because of his ability to win short with his route running and his tremendous run after the catch skills. Hamler graded out as our number two slot receiver for a lot of the same reasons, and I really like how he's able to track the deep ball. He's very Deshaun Jackson-like in that regard. He also helps out immediately on special teams, and when you factor in the progress we saw from Deshaun Hamilton last year and Tim Patrick, who played well with his limited opportunities, the Broncos potentially sport a potent quintet of pass catchers this year. Tight end is just as exciting as the receivers, led by second-year player Noah Fant, who was second on the team in receiving behind Sutton. He proved to be a favorite target of Drew Lock and averaged 14 yards a catch, scoring 3 touchdowns. He's going to be emerging as one of the young stars at the position in the NFL. Steadily trying to improve the talent and depth around Drew Lock, they added his former teammate in Albert Okwuegbunam out of Missouri in the 4th round. He gives them another vertical stretch player at the position, and they still have solid options in Troy Fumagalli and Nick Vannett, both of whom are capable blockers, and Jake Butt, if he can stay healthy, he definitely has the talent. With Ja'Wuan James opting out for the season, it puts a lot of pressure on left tackle Garrett Bowles to raise his level of play and to become much more of a consistent player, which means cutting down on the penalties. Now, Bowles has the talent, but has to be able to get out of his own way at times. Now, the other tackle spot figures to go to Elijah Wilkerson, who can also kick down inside and play guard if need be. He got time last year at tackle and did a really good job. He'll face a battle with free agent signing DeMar Dotson, but Dotson was more likely signed to be a better in-depth piece across the board. Now, the club likes the development of second-year player Calvin Anderson out of Texas, and Jake Rogers gives them good depth as well on the edges. Inside looks to be in a much more stable shape with Dalton Reisner, who is a stellar player. He's one of the linchpins up front. Now, they added Graham Glasgow in free agency from the Detroit Lions, who will give them stable veteran play at guard. And 3rd-round pick Lloyd Cushenberry out of LSU was one of the more impressive centers in the country last season and on arguably the best offensive line with the Tigers. He looks to be a plug-and-play guy right there in the middle, and depth-wise, I am intrigued by rookie Nateem Muti out of Fresno State. His tape is fantastic when he's out on the field, but that's the thing. He missed multiple seasons with injuries and will have to prove healthy first before you can trust him in any extended capacity. And Austin Schlottman gives him good versatility at both guard as well as center. Denver made a splash move this offseason by acquiring the services of former Tennessee Titan defensive lineman Jarrell Casey. He's coming off of 5 straight Pro Bowl seasons and still has very much left in the tank to give to this defense. With what the Broncos lost up front this offseason with Derek Wolfe, he not only replaces that, but gives Denver a better player as a result. He should pair up well with both Shelby Harris and Mike Purcell, both of which are coming off of strong seasons in Vic Fangio's defense, and both players finished with 8 TFLs apiece, with Harris also chipping in with 6 sacks. Expect a big year from Draymond Jones, the second-year player out of Ohio State. He finished strong to the season and figures to build off that solid foundation laid during his rookie year. He gives them some versatility up front. Not like rookie Metelvin Agim out of Arkansas. He reminds me a lot of Shelby Harris in the sense that his motor is nonstop, and he is very disruptive on both ends of defense. He factors into the rotation along with veteran DeMarcus Walker, who started to come into his own last season. Now, the club also strengthened the depth and rotation with free agent signee Christian Covington from the Dallas Cowboys, who is a very good run defender. Linebackers where the Broncos make their money, in my opinion. Last season, they finished with 40 sacks, which was tied for 17th in the NFL. And a big reason why was that future Hall of Famer Von Miller, who led the team with 8 in that category, was without his running mate Bradley Chubb, who was gone for the season after the 4th game. In 2018, when both were out there for a full 16, they combined for 26.5 sacks. Needless to say, a healthy return of Chubb is great news for Miller and the defense as a whole. Now, this is a pretty deep group of talent for Denver. I like Justin Hollins coming out of Oregon because of his versatility, and we saw that on display with the Broncos last season as a rookie playing across the second level. Jeremiah Attacho played well in rotation, starting some games also and racking up 3.5 sacks and 5 TFLs, and reserve Malik Reed made the team as an undrafted rookie free agent and also found ways to make an impact on defense. He ended up starting 8 games and finished with 27 tackles and 5 QB hits. Now, inside linebacker, they're solid with Todd Davis, who led the team with 134 tackles, and the energetic Alexander Johnson, who in his first year as a starter finished with 93 tackles. He's got good pop-up on contact with the ball carrier, but keep an eye out for rookie Justin STRNAD out of Wake Forest. He'll make a serious push for significant playing time as he has excellent range and instincts, giving them a solid inside linebacker that could do it well on both ends of defense. He and Josie Jewell provide strong rotational depth on the interior. Moving over to the secondary, and the biggest acquisition this offseason was the trade for AJ Bouye from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's a really solid corner who has a Pro Bowl under his belt and should help ease the blow of losing Chris Harris this offseason. Bryce Callahan, returning to full strength, should give Denver a significant boost opposite of Bouye. He missed all of last season with an injury and is looking to get back to that sustained play that we saw from him in Chicago. If he can't go, it'll be third-year player Isaac Yiadom, who started 8 games for Denver last season and really started to pick up his play later on in the year. Now, another player returning from injury is Devontae Ballsby. He suffered a neck injury during the season in Week 5 and missed the rest of the year. He's cleared to go and factors into the mix as well. Now, the Broncos have 2 younger players in rookie Michael Ojemedia out of Iowa, who's an excellent zone defender, and Devontae Harris, who showed some resiliency last year when given the opportunity. Duke Dawson is a player of intrigue to keep an eye on. He gives them a rotational matchup piece who saw a lot of time in the middle of the season. Now, Denver is much stronger at safety with Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson. Simmons is one of the best safeties in football, who was robbed, in my opinion, of a Pro Bowl honor, and Jackson is coming off one of his better seasons as a pro as he made the full-time switch to safety during his first season in Denver. Both he and Simmons combined for 27 PBUs and 6 interceptions, and providing depth mainly will be Trey Marshall, who enters his 3rd season. We saw him earn valuable playing time, including 2 starts in the last 2 games of the season, so look for him to be more involved in the defense this year as well. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by 9th & Lux. Visit the website 9thandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Nesby Phipps, art, life, entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app. Financial Coaching LLC, investment, retirement, security, stewardship credit. Financial growth is in your hands. Stewardshipcredit.com. Adrienne Marie Photo, photographer, writer, management. AdrienneMariePhotography.com. Lock Multimedia. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Keep an eye on LEVANTE BELLAMY out of Western Michigan. The undrafted rookie free agent has the burst of Philip Lindsay and could position himself to handle return duties right out of the gate. He's got legitimate speed. Another rookie and linebacker, Justin STRNAD, has a chance to really surprise folks because of his good all-around athletic game. He's good on both ends of defense and really fits in like a glove in today's NFL. Look for both rookie wideouts Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler to have immediate impacts on this offense. Jeudy with the regular offense and Hamler will be a mix between the offense and special teams. McTelvin Agim was good at both the East-West Shrine Bowl and Senior Bowl this past January, showing his ability to be an upfield rushing presence and steps into a situation in Denver where in rotation he should flash consistently. Garrett Bowles, to me, figures to be the biggest X factor on the offensive side of the ball. They really need for him to cut down on the penalties while also elevating his play. If he's able to do that, he'll find a long-term home in Denver. And Bryce Callahan would be the defensive X factor for me. His return to full strength gives the Broncos 3 solid corners capable of excelling in Fangio's zone-heavy defensive scheme. His play will be critical to the overall success out there on the corners. Look for Dalton Risner to become a player that puts his name in the mix for one of the top guards in the NFL. I thought he looked fantastic last season and will more than likely duplicate that level of productivity this upcoming year. And defensively, Draymond Jones's versatility and length flashed a lot last season as a rookie, and now that he got his feet wet as a pro and a second year in his defensive scheme should allow him to play much faster and be much more productive. One of the major reasons for optimism is the fact that their quarterback, Drew Lock, finished the season really strong. Again, 4-1 in his 5 starts, so one game was in between 2 outstanding efforts. And again, all he has to do is get better at his yards per attempt, and this could be an explosive offense. Why? Because they have a ton of skill talent, both in the backfield and out on a perimeter, as well as at tight end. So there's a ton of talent along with an improving second-year quarterback. But you also look defensively, their front 7 looks strong. Their defensive line looks to be improved. Their linebacking core, I think, is arguably the best in the AFC West. So this defense and this offense's potential gives you a lot of reason to be optimistic. The biggest cause for concern would be if the offensive line and that inconsistency shows up. We're talking about left tackle, we're talking about the right tackle now that Juwan James is opted out. If that offensive line can't find any level of consistency, again, they didn't have the OTAs, the minicamps, all that stuff that you would normally see. If that happens, it could be a problem for Denver in 2020. The road to the Super Bowl for the Broncos goes as follows. If Drew Lock takes the next step forward and becomes the truth, this offense has a chance to average 35 points a game. And if they develop a new no-fly zone at cornerback, you talk about the additions of A.J. Bouye, Bryce Callahan returning to health, and the growth and development from the guys behind him, it could develop a new no-fly zone that helps out the defense. And that offensive line has to become a strength. It has to become an asset, not a liability. They have some pieces to work with up front. And if all of these 3 things can happen, I think the Broncos can surprise people and find themselves playing in Tampa later on in the season. I have the Broncos finishing second in the AFC West. What I saw last year that was impressive was how well Vic Fangio tapped into this football team. They were playing hard throughout the season. They put in a rookie later on in the year as a starter. He went 4-1. We talked about that. But look at what they've improved around him going into the season. They get a healthy Bradley Chubb back to team up with Von Miller. This team has a lot going for them, and I think they'll surprise a lot of teams and be very good this year, finishing second in a very tough AFC West division. So that's it for Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. And don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating. And that's where you can find our NFL All 32 podcast. And keep it locked here on our Football Game Plan YouTube channel as we have a ton more Broncos related video content coming down the pike.
It's D-U-E-U till I see you by this point. You're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it. Let's do it. We gon' make this thing official. You heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit. Man, we about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it. Let's do it. We gon' make this thing official. You heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit. Yeah.